I love things like comics and video games, so I made this podcast to talk about them with my friends. This is Midnight Podcast. Welcome to Midnight Podcast. We have Yesik Zeke here.
Sup?
Misty.
Hello.
And Phil.
Hi. And a lovely 9-month time gap.
Yeah, and a lovely 9-month time gap. They've all been here before, so everybody should be familiarized with everybody else. And since I'm lazy and stupid, everybody else came up with the topics, so Yesik is probably going to be leading this one.
Okay, so basically the first topic I've worked out, and we did this at very short notice, so they're all kind of weird topics, is bargain bin gaming. And I was just wondering, like, I recently had an experience where I picked up a weird Dragon Quest Mario crossover game that was a Monopoly / stock market simulator, and it was like $12, and it's fantastic. And I was wondering if you guys have had any good bargain bin experiences.
Let me check my Vita. Somebody else can go ahead, but that's what I've been buying stuff on recently.
I want to play it more, but I haven't. But I did pick up Opuna for like $2.
I haven't even, I actually have a copy of Opuna at my house too, and it's the weirdest thing. Like the back makes no sense. The story write-up makes no sense.
Yeah, it's like the gameplay is really weird too, since you're like the way you attack is kind of awkward.
Yeah,
I haven't even heard of that game before.
It's a RPG for the Wii.
Oh, that's why I haven't heard of it.
Now, when we talk about bargain bin, are we talking about physical copy, or are we also going to talk about like digital? So crazy Steam sales.
The thing is, crazy Steam sales and digital sales are available to anyone. But in the bargain bin, especially for consoles, you can find things that you've just never even heard of and that nobody's ever heard of.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I was going with that.
I'm trying to think of anything else I've picked up like really cheap that I enjoyed.
Well, if we can't think of anything else, I have kind of a bit of a lesson on bargain bin gaming. I think I found out like a method to the madness of doing it.
Well, I can talk about what I picked up in the past 9 months.
What did you pick up in the last 9 months?
It actually hasn't been a lot. It's been like Gods Will Be Watching, Danganronpa on the Vita. That's about it. Misty gave me Enslaved Odyssey to the West, and I love that game.
I forgot about that.
I also got Deponia.
Deponia?
I haven't played it yet, but it looks cool. I love point-and-click games.
Talking about the games I've gotten is always kind of useless to me because I have like 400 now, and I've only played like 80.
It's terrible.
Yeah, so
you should be ashamed of yourself.
I know, right?
Phil, you're the same way.
I really am.
I kind of am the same way.
You can
too.
see my
I've
Steam
got, like,
account and find that one out quick.
Misty buys more games for other people than he actually plays.
Yeah, he actually recently got me
Probably.
City Skylines. I've been meaning to start a Let's Play, but I've kind of been working through the engine of the game first and trying to figure it out so I don't start playing and have everybody be like, you don't know what you're doing, stop building the city.
You're a big dum-dum.
So, since Misty is the one giving us all these games, he should be the one to
apparently.
tell
What
us
the
about
fuck,
bargain
Misty?
bin hunting.
Yeah, come on, Misty, bargain bin hunting. Come on, bargain bin, Misty hunting. Go
Is that a
ahead, do it.
monster? Monster
Run
Hunter?
now.
Everyone's
okay.
talking at once.
Between much and very.
So I actually have a bit of a lesson. We don't seem to have many games just off the top of our head to list, but I think I found out how to properly bargain bin shop. You look at all the consoles available, and you completely ignore anything Xbox or PlayStation related. And you just go into the Wii bin, because nobody knows the value of Wii games, or any of the good ones. It had a really weird late life where a bunch of weird things came out, but nobody was buying them anymore. You end up with things like Xenoblade. There was another really good RPG that came out on it called
Last Story.
Last Story, yes. There was another one other than Last
I
Story.
mean, you're
too.
never really going to find Xenoblade in a bargain bin, though.
No, not Xenoblade, because that's one of the famous hidden gems. But,
Yeah.
But for a while it
Pandora's
wasn't.
Tower?
Pandora's Tower, yeah, that was it.
I should look for a copy of that.
But some of these games will sell for a lot on eBay, but often game stores, and specifically where I found this game was actually, oh god, what's it called now? Shoppers Drug Mart. Yeah, I know. Some game stores, specifically ones that aren't actually game stores, will have no idea what games they have and just like, here, $10, bin.
I guess that can go for almost any like third party kind of place though too. Like I've been doing a lot of like comic book shopping and stuff. And you can find like $90 books in a $1 box or whatever too.
Speaking of gaming in a more general sense, I have there's a bookstore nearby that sell secondhand books, and they sell them at 10% of the label price. But the thing is, they have
like Books A Million.
Yeah, but the thing is, they have tons of a huge D&D collection.
Ooh, that's juicy.
And you can
Is it like old D&D?
Yeah, like
or?
old D&D, new D&D. I've seen 3.5, I've seen 2, I've seen 3, I've seen Pathfinder, I've seen Warhammer 40K.
Oh,
the thing is, some of these books actually cost more than their ticket price if you buy them online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm going to pick up just like a whole pile of these. Don't mind me. I'm not trying to cheat the system.
You should totally cheat the system. It's there to be cheated.
Cheating is okay, as long as you enter cheat codes instead of modding the system.
Yeah, exactly. Modding,
right.
not okay. Cheat codes and exploits, all the way.
Unless you're playing a Bethesda game in real life, then you can totally mod it.
That's true.
Because you have to be the one to finish it, unfortunately, because Bethesda never finishes their own games.
Right.
Yeah. they release a game, it's mostly good, but it's like the fan community is almost instantly like, this game needs a texture pack. Within a year of release, there's almost always a really good texture pack.
This needs a stability patch, and yet it's a fan who did it.
Yeah, and you're like, one of my favorite things though is you walk into a Bethesda game and things are glorious, and then you look up into the trees and you don't see the light shining through the leaves because the leaves are made of paper. And you're like, what the hell?
Next trees.
Yeah, next day there's like Tree Mod 101. Have the light shine through your trees. Dynamic lighting
so
system.
Delicious.
You're like, who is this army of unpaid programmers making these?
Well, I think actually I heard somebody recently did they like made this whole entire mod as their thing to get a job there.
Oh yeah, there was actually a huge thing where Bethesda picked up a bunch of amateur programmers who were doing mods for their game and just picked them up and put them on staff.
Okay, actually, while we're on this subject at random, even though it's really a strange subject, there is actually a mod that's being developed, and it's been developed for like the last several years, where somebody's trying to actually recreate all of Morrowind in Skyrim. And I recommend looking up the Google images for this because it is looking really good.
I always liked Morrowind.
Yeah, it has like all the crazy mushroom trees, and it's I don't know why there's no release of it yet. Maybe they haven't mapped out the entire zone, but it looks
that would
glorious.
take a while.
I'm actually going to very quickly add at least like a couple images of this so that people can see it. Yeah, it's called Skywind.
Skywind.
Yeah. There's like that there. Yeah, just Google image, and they're doing fairly well. If I do,
you know what I want to see in a mod? I want to see somebody do like a Skyrim game in Fallout New Vegas or something.
Oh god. Like an arcade cabinet?
What do you mean,
just
like
a
an arcade cabinet?
You mean just mod in all the weapons from Skyrim to Fallout New Vegas, or?
No. I mean, like, literally have everything from Skyrim in Fallout New Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Everything. Just basically have the whole game.
Fallout New Vegas' massive instability, I don't know if it could handle that.
You know,
Fallout 3.
I'm not sure how that would work.
I always had there was one thing I had a lot of fun with in Fallout, and that was making people explode and then finding the smallest giblet of theirs and steal all the stuff from it.
Oh god.
that was a great part of Fallout.
Horrible.
Yeah. That was like, hey, a chunk of meat. Good thing it has all their clothes on it and their weapon.
Somehow, space-time, wibbly-wobbly.
Timey-wimey.
That's right.
Just for the record, that's going to be the picture in the background on when I upload this.
The Skywind?
The thing that I just posted in Skype.
No, I completely missed it. Yeah, I actually have.
That's what.
Oh. Okay.
That's what came up when I looked up Skywind. So.
I've actually got to go see this really quickly. Oh, I see. it's yeah. You guys will see it. Anyways, I actually had one more thing to say, but I completely forgot. Oh yeah, sorry. I do remember. I actually had a really fun experience when I played through Fallout New Vegas for the first time, because I actually did play it like Skyrim. Very early in the game, you can get something called the Rebar Club, and that thing will last you beginning to end of the game.
Oh wow!
There is nothing that can stand up to a good hit with a Skyrim club. I just remember this one situation.
In New Vegas, everything melee and unarmed was incredibly broken when the game first came out.
But I just remember there was this one hostage scene where like some people were taken hostage in a big open area, and it was supposed to be a really hard scene, and I didn't even give them a chance to talk to me. I just ran in with the Rebar Club and killed everything. And my friend watching was like, that took me hours. And I was like, yeah, but nobody expects a guy with a Rebar Club. And he was like...
No one sees that coming.
See, like, I developed the habit of doing that in video games, and then I went on to Dark Souls, and that didn't go so well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really tank your way through Dark Souls.
And I'm not even talking about just, like, the hostile guys in Dark Souls. I'm talking about, like, the passive guys, too. Like, I just assumed that they were enemies, and it just didn't go well.
Oh my god, you killed the passive guys?
On my first playthrough, I killed a lot of the passive guys.
Like the
I may have done
NPCs
that
that give
too.
you stuff and stuff?
Yeah.
Yep.
Those ones.
Yep, everybody.
Wow.
Okay, so since we have wandered way off topic, I say we move on to the next one.
Sounds good.
The next topic in my list, because I have accidentally minimized it, is YouTube bait. There's way too much of it.
Yes, there is.
It's everywhere. It won't be stopping anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I'm a little unclear on what you mean by YouTube bait, and some of the people listening might be too. So we should explain exactly what we mean.
Okay, YouTube...
Five Nights at Freddy's 3.
Okay, the thing is, Five Nights at Freddy was, at least the first one, as far as I could see, was a well-programmed game. It deserved the credit it got. But let's say there's good YouTube bait. There's like Amnesia, Five Nights. I haven't played it and I won't play it, but I will agree that it looks fairly well programmed. But then I'm not even going to talk about the sequels to Five Nights, but every day on Steam there are like 3 bad horror game releases that are just like full of jump scares, and like there also appears to be a simulator influx that is entirely reliant on YouTubers giving them hell in order to sell.
Yeah, so, it's just a quick turnaround
like
program.
Goat Sim and...
What game is this?
Any game. Like right now there is...
Goat Simulator?
No, I mean the simulator one.
Okay, well today there is Tennis Elbow 2013.
What?
Hector, there's another horror game, although I think I might have heard something about Hector, but it looks like a bunch of jump scares. Let me go further in
like
the past.
Garbage to me. Definitely not worth $15.
Here we go.
Hector.
Let's go to upcoming. Mushroom 1.1. That doesn't seem like a simulator. Oh, it's another platformer. But anyways, there's just this constant influx of really bad simulators and horror games that are made entirely so that YouTubers will play them, hate them, and then somehow sell it.
Is there a simulator yet?
There should be. There will be.
An interesting thing about a simulator. The second we create a simulator that is capable of simulating the Earth in real time or the universe in real time, then it is impossible for us not to be in a simulator ourselves.
We've effectively created the Matrix.
Yeah, because, okay, think of it this way. If we have a simulator that perfectly replicates the entire universe, which could happen, things are always getting closer to it, that means that simulator will create a simulator that will effectively replicate the universe eventually. Meaning that simulator will create...
basically, does a set of all sets contain itself?
So, essentially, if that happens, it's impossible for us to be the first in that chain.
Well, space and time is infinite, so it's entirely possible.
Yep. So if we ever create that simulator, we are all a simulation ourselves.
So the beginning of time was really just someone creating us? Like, as a simulator?
Some kid playing a game.
Yeah.
And so then Titus Andronicus kills his own daughter?
But wait a second. I would like to say this one more time. This is only on the assumption that we will eventually create a perfect simulator.
Which may or may not happen.
Yes. Because the second that happens, this whole situation comes to be.
We might just get bored with YouTuber bait before then.
Yeah.
Because really, the crux of this is YouTubers making stupid-ass videos on Sims.
Mm-hmm. And
Can we also talk about how if you time travel, then it wouldn't actually change things? Because, holy shit, Yesik.
Yes?
Did you get that tweet the other day about Terry Pratchett dying?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yeah, he mentioned it in one of his Monster Hunter videos.
I fell into like a depression for a day and a half about it.
Yeah, like you were the very first person I thought of, like when I heard about that.
Because like,
and I was like, wow.
90% of my quotes, like 50 or 60% of my humor comes from Terry Pratchett. The interesting thing though is I am incapable of knowing a influential British comedy author for more than 3 years before he dies.
Stop knowing people.
Weird.
You're killing them, yes.
Because I was introduced to Douglas Adams rather young, and he died in 2001, right? I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, but basically, I was introduced to him on a road trip. My mom listened to the Hitchhiker's Guide audiobook. Dead 2 years later. Found out about Terry Pratchett 4 years ago. Dead 4 years ago. I'm like, come on! I'm running out of influential British comedy writers.
Yesik, does that mean I'm gonna die because of you?
No, you're not influential in British.
Oh, okay.
He can be British.
If you suddenly be British and become influential, then you'll die.
Well, not if I'm gonna die.
Does he have a 3-year time gap of when he becomes those things, or since you've known him?
I don't know exactly. I
think
assuming
I broke
it's.
the system since we've known each other for like 2 years now.
I think it's when he becomes that. Then there's a 3-year gap.
Has it really been 2 years?
About 2 years, maybe 2.5.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did I introduce you guys, or did you know each other before I came on?
I think I actually.
I started following Yesik's Monster Hunter videos, and then through just bullshitting on comments, I think you invited me onto a stream.
Oh yeah,
then we became fast friends.
There were some weird things that went on there. Like, I really have a hard time dealing with my group of friends and the relationships because it's turning into like a web as intricate as Game of Thrones deaths.
Oh Jesus! Everybody started dating everybody. It got weird and incestuous.
Yeah, it's weird.
Phil,
shit.
why are you dating everybody?
Oh, I'm such a whore.
Did you date Misty?
I don't think so, not yet.
Well,
date
date's a
Yesik?
strong word.
Yeah. But I'm in some way related. And like I don't know them personally, but I am in some way, by 1 degree of separation, related to every YouTuber I ever see.
Yeah, that does happen when you start to become a little bit more influential.
And I'm like, what? How do I know these people again? Who's talking
How
to
are these
me?
people on my Skype?
Yeah, I don't have NL, but I have both Nick and Josh on my Skype.
I also have. I've got Nick, Omrecker, and a couple other people whose names I'm not summing up right now.
Yeah, it's weird. You somehow just get to know everybody, and half of them are PR people who you only talk to once, and you're like, am I supposed to delete this contact? Who are you? Are you the head of Capcom America? Did I talk to you at some point? I don't know.
Did you give me a beta code? Am I supposed to still say thank you, or
was I being paid for this? I don't know. It's weird.
Are you going to harp on me for still not
5 minutes
doing
ago,
a
let
review?
alone a year ago?
Exactly.
So the lesson learned from this whole entire little spiel
is
here
fuck YouTube
is,
bait.
Yeah. And
Yes.
delete all of your friends, and the ones that are important will add you back unless they get offended, and then they won't.
Exactly.
And then they'll call you out on Twitter, and then you can add them back.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if they, delete, if they bitch about it, then they're probably whining little bitches and don't deserve to be your friend anyway.
Exactly.
And then you have a friendless Skype list. There you go. Don't have to be in any social
How to
circles.
not have
Problem
friends.
solved.
It's weird. We have these topics. We are really failing at sticking to them. Essentially,
Who cares about topics?
Podcast sticks to their topic.
Essentially, I'm not entirely sure I dislike the... I may dislike the amount of YouTube bait, but I'm not sure if I actually dislike the concept of YouTube bait. Because, there are some YouTubers who I'm willing to watch play a really bad simulator, for instance. I'm not one for the rage throughs, so
Yeah, I tend not to watch any rage throughs.
best wishes to them, but I'm not going to be watching any Markiplier or PewDiePie. But
Why would you?
if somebody who was fairly calm and collected played a game that was truly unplayable, I don't mind watching a bit of that. I think the only problem is the sheer number of them these days.
Of
It's
unplayable
impossible
games.
to keep track of them.
Yeah, like essentially you get 2 or 3 new releases on Steam a day, and that's not even including like the 5 emails you get from really bad indie game companies who are like, "Hey, cover my game. You do indie reviews," and I click on their link and I actually download their games every time, and they're usually unplayable.
I only ever got one email from people asking me to play their game, and without not me sending out emails, but somebody sending me one, and it was it seemed like something that somebody would make in their very first programming class, specifically for video games, maybe even their very first assignment in that class. It was pretty bad.
I've had people email me things that are essentially bad versions of Flappy Bird with only one sound effect. And that sound effect is. I'm like, Jesus, are you fucking with me? I almost
Is my sound card broken, or is this the game?
I almost wanted to make a video on that, but it was so boring. It was. It was actually Flappy Bird with geometric shapes and a really badly drawn spaceship.
If anybody's listening that's a game developer other than Mega Master X, can somebody do that except with Yesic's voice and maybe have the 3 of us, the 4 of us as playable characters? Thanks.
Just with the.
Just have an me flapping
Yes,
my
that.
wings.
Yeah, but it has to be Yesic doing the.
Yeah, it can only be Yesic doing the
Just
but you
loop
can
the
also
sound.
use thumbnails of everybody else as playable characters.
I like it. Cut, move on to the next thing. So, essentially, a lot of this whole list that we've gotten to is about localization, and region locking, and why in hell's name? I realize there's some things that need to be translated specifically for censorship reasons, but why are games never just handed to their fans and copy and pasted through Google Translate?
Have you played any Atlas games translated into English?
Oh, no, I don't care. I don't care how bad the translation is. Sometimes I just want the game.
As long as you can
Sometimes
understand the gist of it, it doesn't tend to matter.
And the poor translations actually kind of add character. I miss the old bad translations that we used to get.
Yeah, I remember
It's 'cause
some
you're at
game
the
on
one
Game
for
Boy
French.
Advance where I don't know, it's you just got the skill Fireball at level 2 and it would be Fireball, you skill received or something. It was awful.
Even really, really good famous JRPGs, Final Fantasy VII. Continue? Of course. Do you guys remember that? That was awesome.
Oh my god.
I loved saying off course. I always wanted to be off course.
I'm always off course.
Of course, just like this podcast.
Yep.
So, game companies, if there's anyone listening, and I know there's not, but maybe this will get to you.
Maybe there are. You don't know.
Yeah, please throw all your text into Google Translate. Put giant blurs over anything you need to censor, and give us your games. We will buy them.
We're fucking talking to you, Capcom and Bandai.
Yes, this is specifically targeted at Capcom and Bandai.
I want my goddamn Super Robot Wars. And I want it now.
And why do I get banned from Monster Hunter Online if I'm caught being American? Come on, I'm paying. Assholes.
Why don't you want our money?
We will go out of our way to give you money, and you're not letting us do it.
Because all four of us, that's right, all 4 of us are selfish Americans.
Yep. There's only 4 of us.
Yeah.
All in America. We all wear cowboy hats.
I live in Alberta, so I'm pretty much a part of Texas. So yes, cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I actually I own a truck.
God, you're already a Texan.
I know. Well, essentially, what happened is I wanted a truck because I'm a fairly big guy. This is a completely unrelated story.
How tall are you, Yesic?
I'm 6'3", but most of it's in my legs.
You're a goddamn giant.
Yeah, but it's all in my legs too. So in vehicles, I have a hard time.
So you're just an oddly shaped giant.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between damned giants and non-damned giants?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the size difference?
That doesn't matter.
No, it just depends
But
on.
you said there was a difference.
Well,
It
I'm
just
not gonna
depends
tell
on
you.
how much God
You gotta
hates
find
you.
out yourself.
I'm clearly the damned type.
It's his
Fair enough.
glasses.
Fair enough.
I apologize for the dog barking, by the way.
Oh, that is perfectly all right.
I didn't.
But you'll
hear
have to
it.
kill the dog for next episode.
I don't think the rest of the family's gonna like that.
Well,
more
you have to
blood for
buck
the
up.
blood god.
and turn its skull in for corn.
Yeah, so any other opinions on, any other stories or opinions on localization, things you guys couldn't get a hold of or were looking forward to and then just never arrived? Fancy
I
Star
just want
Online?
to talk about how. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, Fantasy Star Online's a good
too.
one.
I thought that was coming out here.
They still say it is. But it's not. Sorry, one more, you were saying.
Like I said earlier when we were talking about bargain bin stuff, I picked up Danganronpa. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
No. I will look it up
Haven't
right now.
seen it.
I love it. It looks like your typical like anime kind of thing, and I usually just tell people I hate anime to avoid saying that I'm just incredibly picky about it. And
Yeah,
talking about which ones
as
I
you
like,
should
but
be.
whatever.
Have you ever
Whatever.
been on my streams when people tried to talk up sword art?
Yes.
I'm like, shut up now or be hurt.
Yeah. Dot Hack did it better.
Don't make me
and
get
even
the
then.
murder machine.
Oh, now I want to watch Dot Hack again.
Except I had a weird thing with Dot Hack and Gundam, which are both childhood animes for me. I mean, like, I watched them when I was very little. I was a young boy. I was expecting a tiny bit of action, not giant robot dramas / online gaming dramas.
Oh, Dot Hack was such a drama. Like that wasn't action at all.
No,
unless
there-
you played the video games are action. The animes or anime were total dramas.
The Dot
The
G-
games are so good.
the Dot GU series was one of my favorite RPGs of all time.
I really need
I mean,
to pick up
it is a
PS2.
great one.
Yeah.
I hear they're actually making another Dot Hack, but I also heard that they're done making them, so I don't know what
It's
to
been
think.
done so many times. Well, with SAO now and also Logon.
Log Horizon.
Yep, Logon Horizon,
Log
which
On.
is not awful.
It's much better than Sword Art. I'll tell you
for
that
sure.
much.
I actually
It's not a
haven't even
Mary
heard of that
Sue
one.
leading the charge.
Well, the thing is, Log Horizon has themes of adaptation and the human will, and like, are we by nature political, social creatures, or are we by nature chaotic? It has some themes in it that are actually rather clever, whereas Sword Art has themes in it that are Mary Sue, everybody loves you. Also, since you're a gamer, you have special reflexes, and you should feel special.
So basically, what
Somehow-
you're telling me is it's Lord of the Flies in a video game.
Yeah, it actually is, kind of.
And
Okay.
somehow playing a video game makes you good at kendo.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, no.
Which I can tell you, it fucking does not. I know kendo. I do kendo. Playing a video game will not get you better reflexes in kendo.
But anyways, we're kind of off the topic of region locking and on the topic
Again.
of anime, which
So
is always a bit
Kendo
dangerous.
is just a great martial arts, and
It's no, I've been in martial arts my whole life. It won't help you. Your video game fighting is nowhere near like real fighting, and once you get hit in the face, if you haven't been hit in the face 100 times, you're gonna freak out and you're not gonna know anything.
Sword Art Online has lied to you.
Yes. And so has most of your other animes. Just pretty much you've been lied to your whole life about everything.
except for Samurai Champloo, that was 100% truth.
All of that is true.
That was actually a true story. It was based on a friend of mine.
God damn it.
Seems legit.
It's legit. I actually have a friend. Never mind.
Go ahead and tell it, please.
No, they're not perfect analogs because clearly nobody is as good as martial arts as the two main characters in there. But I've always been in very traditional martial arts and have always stayed calm and like sword and like being steadfast and like very strict Shotokan karate, not Shotokan karate. That's a very different thing. Don't look it up.
Learn your Japanese properly, assholes.
Shotokan karate, so incredibly strict and disciplined. And I had a friend who I'd fight with all the time who did like capoeira, street fighting, boxing.
Wait, capoeira is real?
Yes, of course
How
capoeira
do
is
you know
real.
it's not real?
Well, there was this episode of Bob's
How- but it is
Burgers. with
Capoeira.
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 Is it?
Okay, let me give you a quick history lesson here on capoeira. Capoeira was invented by Brazilian slaves because they were not allowed to fight on the plantations. So they actually had to disguise their fights as dances.
Okay, see, like I thought it was fake just because of this episode of Bob's Burgers. Does anybody know what episode I'm talking about?
Yes. Yeah.
I
Okay.
haven't seen Bob's Burgers.
Well,
It's
basically, it's like this dude dancing.
Charo or Chiro.
Capoeira is very real. It's based on old African, well, martial arts in quotation marks, tribal fighting.
Fair
Interesting
enough.
stuff, though.
I can respect
Well
that.
executed capoeira kick could take your head off.
Oh yes. I was hit by a slow kick which opened up like half my face, and I ended up in the hospital with like 10 stitches in it. It was horrible, and that kick was not even moving.
Something like the kick
gotta
can
have
deliver
so
about
many
1,000
stars.
pounds per square inch. Not per square inch, but about 1,000-pound delivery force.
Yeah,
Well, executed kick.
and yes, by the way, I do have so many stars, but most of them are from my kamas. Yeah, so
Oh, you have
something-
commas?
Oh yes,
Wow.
and I used to fight with them, and my entire arms are like plastered in scars.
Jesus.
But anyways,
This just in: Yessik's arms are plaster.
they're literally made of plaster. Okay,
His arms have been replaced with a mannequin's arms.
He
next,
actually has Despic down there playing every video game for him.
which is amazing because the skill gap is still there. He managed to pull it off.
Yeah, wait. How does that work when he's playing games besides you? Is he
Well-
like playing with his feet?
No, the thing is, he's playing my character with his hands, which is why the coordination is good. He's playing his character with his feet, which is
Oh,
why
okay.
he screws everything up.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing is on I was on advertising. I was recently, I went to pick up Monster Hunter 4 because Amazon screwed up the shipment and I didn't get it the day I was supposed to.
And they sent you an Xbox 360 copy instead, so you sent it back, and then Jessica ended up like accidentally getting you 2 copies, and it was a disaster.
And then I got syphilis from a book, and
This is all true.
No one take that seriously. There is no Monster Hunter 4 for Xbox.
yeah, don't ask.
The other stuff's true though.
It's also not for PC. Stop asking me if it's coming to PC. It should be for PC, but it's not unless you're in Japan and you are actually Japanese.
Should also be for Wii U.
It should also be for the Wii U. It should also probably be for the fucking PS4 since it's such a scenic, spectacular game.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be. But
Capcom's dum-dums.
apparently, there's something that has given me a bit of hope here. In a Capcom press release, this is not even the subject I'm going to be talking about. They said that the only reason that Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate came out for the 3DS is because they develop with one idea in mind all the time. So they're not really on an exclusivity deal as far as I know. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate was out on the 3DS and the Wii U because they wanted it played by as wide of a range as possible, whereas Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate was meant to focus entirely on the new technology of the 3D, which is why they developed it only for the 3DS. So it gives me hope that in the future they might just be like, hey, let's go for the PS4 because it's fucking awesome.
That
I like
actually makes
I
me
like
kind of sad because I can't afford a PS4.
I like the idea of them doing it on PS4, but I also think they're stupid for only developing it for that one idea because, like, I don't know, it could be so much bigger if they developed for other stuff too.
Also, who uses 3D on a 3DS?
Yeah,
Right?
it just hurts my eyes.
Mad people.
Same.
Like, and you have to hold it at such a specific... I can get it to not hurt my eyes for 10 minutes or so if I hold it at the most specific angle ever.
I hear that's actually gotten better with the new 3DSs. I don't know how
Yeah,
true that is.
I heard that too, but I want to pick one up, but now I need to save some money to do it.
I'm in the same boat.
I want to pick one up, but my 3DSs cost $300 extra and they haven't been developed yet.
The new ones haven't had the capture card software.
Yeah. My capture card company that I actually like doesn't have them yet.
Well, you'll have to get one day because didn't you like promise that you would do an LP of Xenoblade, and that's coming out on 3DS?
It's also coming out on Wii U.
Oh, well, there
it
you
is?
I'm pretty sure. Let me look it up.
The new the 3DS Xenoblade should be Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah, that's Chronicles.
Xenoblade Chronicles X is coming out. Are they just remaking the old Xenoblade?
For the
For
3DS.
3DS.
Okay, yeah, no, I can do that. That'll be.
The Wii U one is Xenoblade Chronicles X.
The problem is
But
I've now fixed my 3DS capture card mostly. The bottom screen is now not capturing,
Oh.
but the top screen is capturing.
So it's only
consistently.
so you only half fixed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, you have to have the new 3DS for Xenoblade just because,
Processing power.
yeah, processing power.
Which I actually think we should talk about. How do you feel about them releasing a console that is the same as the previous console, but there's exclusive games for it?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like exclusive games for it. I look at it more as they've released a new console and just given it the same name and it's only slightly upgraded. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb.
Yeah, but they're advertising it as a 3DS. They're releasing a 3DS. It plays 3DS games. Most of the games are going to be the same. The only difference between the two is that one has like this tiny little analog stick that I don't like its positioning actually, and it can run
it is odd positioning.
It can run like 1 or 2 extra games.
I'm sure that more people are going to develop those bigger games for it, though.
I'm not sure. Nintendo seems to be having a hard time with third-party publishers other than the big ones.
That's because they don't want to take the risk.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like don't want to have to get a new one, but at the same time, I could use the second one for like Pokemon reasons. But at the same,
reasons.
Gotta catch them all.
well, trade evolutions. I don't want to have to rely on other people to do it.
Yeah, understandable.
Other people. Just delete them off your Skype friend list.
Agreed. Clear out your Twitter,
Good job,
clear out your
Midnight.
Skype, clear out your
And as long as
Facebook.
I'm gonna get another one, I might as well get the new one so I can play those new games that are coming out that are only gonna work on it.
I just really want to play Persona.
And Persona. Wasn't a new one coming out soon for the 3DS?
I think so.
Uh,
Or a new version.
Persona
No,
Q
it
already
actually-
came out.
Oh, it already came out.
Yeah, that
Oh.
came out a couple months ago.
How did I miss that?
It's basically Etrian Odyssey with Persona characters.
Anyways, what I was actually trying to say is Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, Zelda, and the new 3DS came out at the same time. I am not really, but you might define my job as a game journalist. I don't really do many reviews these days. I've been meaning to start up again, but I'm having a hard time doing it. But my job is to know what's going on with gaming. I did not know that the release of Zelda and the new 3DS was on the same day as the release of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and I only knew about Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate because I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan.
I'm the same exact way. I didn't know about the other stuff and only knew about Monster Hunter.
Why
I-
are these people not advertising?
I guess
I
they
don't know.
thought that they could just get by like saying here's the release date for the new 3DS, and they thought that maybe just the news of it being a new system or whatever would carry them the whole entire time. And same with Zelda, because Zelda.
But
I knew the
Legendary.
release date for Zelda, but I didn't know for Monster Hunter because I didn't see any advertising saying where it was or when it was.
and it was horribly successful. It was sold out everywhere across North America for like I think it still might be actually.
That is partially true, but that's also because there were like dock worker people rioting or something. So it's like there were some sitting in some docks somewhere, and we just never got them.
These damn dock workers.
But even then, the demand was there for the rest, I'm sure.
I mean, it was.
Because I heard so many people unable to get a copy on day one. I ended up there early in the morning. So
Yeah, I had to go like 30 miles out to get a copy.
Oh, God.
yeah. So I think there's a huge problem with video game companies not advertising these days, especially ones that have unique titles that might sell that aren't Call of Duty. Because I had walked...
Have you guys heard about the new Monster Hunter Call of Duty crossover?
You know, I would actually... That'd be funny.
Although, saying this, watching YouTube, I've seen some ads for Codename Steam for the 3DS.
That looks pretty awesome, even though I don't even know what it's about. I just like the art style.
I've heard it was like Valkyria Chronicles-esque.
Ooh.
Okay, that is actually...
Phil, stop touching yourself.
That is... When is
No.
this coming out? Because I want it 1,000 times over.
It
think
actually
it's
just
out.
came out on Tuesday.
It came out on Tuesday?
Yep.
I'm leaving. I'm just kidding.
Podcast over. I'm done.
This just even adds like to the conversation more about like this is a valid point.
I didn't know about it. Nobody told me. Nobody was talking about it on Twitter because they might have advertised on YouTube a couple times, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's
Too many
like
people are
not
talking
everybody
about-
gets the same ads, especially if you live in a different place.
Yeah.
Put up some...
I got Mexican ads sometimes while I was in Fresno.
Like, the thing is, I know banner ads don't work. but they don't work because people are advertising bullshit on them. If you were advertising games that I cared about, or that I would like to know about, those would work. If I saw like Monster Hunter 5 on a banner ad, I'd be like, really? The hell's this
Monster
all
Hunter
about?
themed porn. Yes, it's all over that.
Oh yeah, I'd be all over it. No,
I'm pretty sure Yesek stars in it.
Yeah, I star in that porn.
Not that I would know or anything.
You know. Don't lie.
Anyway,
They're-
Codename Steam got 3.5 on Metacritic, but it got 4 out of 10 on GameSpot. But who cares about GameSpot?
Okay, but Metacritic
GameStop's
is
still a thing.
Metacritic sucks too. What did people we care about say about this game?
I don't know.
What people do we
I
care?
can't remember who was talking about
It
it,
actually,
but I know.
It actually reminds me of Beautiful Joe.
Oh, I wish Beautiful Joe would come back.
Come back, senpai.
The art
What
looks
hero
very
we
similar,
need.
and so does like the weird comic book style that I'm looking at right now. Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a cool looking game. Probably not one that I'll pick up anytime soon, just because I don't want to pay $40 for it. But
The other thing is I don't know. They like you said it has a 3.5 on Metacritic. I actually loved Valkyria Chronicles.
Oh, so good.
And that didn't get horribly good ratings either because people were like, "What's this? What?
I don't understand the concept of this game.
It's turn-based, but it's not, and it's first person. What? I don't know." Yeah,
My
fuck off
caveman
forever.
brain can't process this.
so I just found out Ori and the Blind Forest is not an Xbox exclusive. I'm kind of excited about that.
No, it's on Steam right now.
Yeah, like I just saw that.
a couple days back. Yeah, so
We're going gaga over it.
I really think that especially companies who are not mainstream publishers or who are not actually Nintendo or Sony should probably advertise their games a bit more. Because the game companies that I know of that get pumped tons of money are like Rockstar, Bethesda. Do you guys have any?
That's basically who I would
Anything
name.
EA.
EA. The companies that make tons of money who sell their games. What's the difference?
Except they're
between
garbage.
sell their garbage. What's the difference between them and companies releasing things like Codename Steam? They advertise more. I hear about the new Call of Duty months before it comes out, and I don't even play Call of Duty.
Because you're not a weak baby cult or a weak casual baby.
Okay, you know, okay.
Filthy
Calling down the Call of Duty people, all cool and stuff, very fashionable, but you know, it's a playable game, especially the first Advanced Warfare. I played that when I was 14.
Actually, I heard there's this big thing going around about they're supposed to remaster Modern Warfare 2.
Now they're making it a bit weird because they're like NHLing it and releasing it every year.
Ugh.
That's been going on for a long time, though.
Yeah, but
It has.
with a shooting game? With a competitive
I've also
shooting
heard
game?
that it's like
Yeah, with Call of Duty. That's been happening every year for a long time.
I know.
they're releasing it every year, but I also hear that it's 2 different studios, so it's actually 2 years between development of each game.
Still feels like the same thing to me.
Yeah,
It's still hot garbage.
still
See,
hot
it's go for
garbage.
life.
And I know Battlefield says that they only release every 2 years, but they release Medal of Honor in between every game, so it's like basically every year.
And this hardline garbage.
Yeah.
I actually haven't followed Hardline at all, so I don't.
Yeah, 'cause it's
I
garbage.
think
Why
you're a
would you?
criminal or something.
Okay, I
don't know.
I
Here
don't.
it's just cops and robbers.
I don't actually like Battlefield. I would never buy it, never play it. But there was one night I was very drunk, and there were a bunch of people in the living room, and we were like, "What should we watch on YouTube?" And I'm like, "I don't know, Bonus Round." And it turned out Bonus Round is a compilation of really fucked up Battlefield glitches, which is very, very, very much worth watching.
The elastic neck glitch.
Yeah, there's tons of good stuff.
I can hear our viewers typing it into YouTube right now.
Yeah, no.
Speaking of elastic necks, this kind of goes back to Monster Hunter, but you know that Nursilla armor you wear sometimes?
Yes, I know of it.
The neck on that looks like it's made of elastic.
Well,
Is that the what
Yes, it's dressed in plastic.
what
it's
weapon do you
drastic.
main in for, Yesek?
I'm doing a combination of gun lance and insect
Blade.
glaive.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you use the heavy armor for Nursilla, whatever?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I wasn't sure just because of that. You said Gunner, right? Doesn't Gunner usually use light armor?
No, gun lance is actually a melee weapon.
Yeah, gun lance
Oh,
is just a
okay.
straight up melee weapon.
So is the light version of that armor? Is that the one that looks like a Gundam?
Oh, that's the heavy stuff.
Both of them actually kind of look like Gundams.
Oh, okay. I love that armor.
Yeah. There's always like 5 or 6 different armor sets in Monster Hunter that just are Gundams.
Fair enough.
No reason.
Yeah. There's also I don't know how to get it yet. It's probably in the DLC. There's also Link armor
I downloaded the DLC. I don't know how to get that.
and like a Link sword and shield. There's like his full tunic and his Hylian shield and Master Sword.
I hadn't downloaded it yet. I just assumed it was the same way that you got the Mario and Luigi stuff.
Yeah, which I downloaded onto the wrong character because I'm an
Oh.
ass.
Can you only get it one time?
Yep, you can only get it one time.
Dang, that's
I think I missed the Mario and Luigi stuff because it wasn't that at launch.
Yeah, that was at launch. The Mario and Luigi stuff itself wasn't that good, but there was a really, really good hammer that you could get.
Did you say hammer or hamburger?
Hammer.
Hammer. Am I
Apparently,
that
I'm
drunk?
hungry. I heard hamburger.
Well, yeah, we
I
can
might
fight
just
with
be talking
hamburgers if you want.
strangely.
We can
I wanna
beat
fight with a
monsters up with
hamburger.
giant hamburgers.
You know, I love it how we
Take my meat.
haven't been around for so long. Like it's been 9 months, like you said, since the last podcast, and so all our topics are just degenerating into us talking about our gaming recently. So we're like, I haven't talked to these
Again,
guys
that's
forever.
that's any gaming podcast.
Well, in the defense of that though, usually I did open up with like what games we've been playing lately, and we did not do that this time.
That's true. Why won't the next topic we can make it what games have we been playing recently? Also, wait, people in the comments, tell me, am I the only one missing out on these games because there's so many of them and I never catch them. It's like every week there's a new game released and I have to be on top of things because I'm a YouTuber. But the game just flies under my radar because they've never advertised. Or am I the only one suffering from this?
I don't think you're the only one suffering. I would have missed out on Monster Hunter 4 had I not just been looking up new 3DSs and realized there was a Monster Hunter themed one that was coming out the same day Majora's Mask was.
It's ridiculous. So anyways, share that in comments. So why don't we make the next topic, what have we been playing recently?
Who wants to start?
I'll start. I've been playing Monster Hunter 4 and Minecraft and Banish, and that's about it.
Banished still?
Well,
Have they been coming out with mods yet?
they've got some mods. I'm not using them, but I was making a Let's Play for the channel, so I've been doing that.
Is Banished something that came out within the past 9 months?
No.
Oh Jesus,
I feel so terrible because
It
like
came out like February of 2014.
since the last podcast, like I have barely paid attention to gaming news, so like I feel kind of terrible.
I had a Let's Play going for it that ended on March 20th, 2014.
oh wow.
2014.
I don't know how I didn't
I just really
see
like
you play
Banished.
that then.
It's a really good game. But
Yeah, there's like a fan-made colony expansion that I want to try, but I haven't yet. No,
because
I'll probably do that eventually.
the reason my series ended after about 30, I think. No, 18 is because essentially you run out of things to do.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
eventually-
I've got a city of like 500 people, and you're pretty much still doing what you were doing at the start.
Eventually your colony just is big enough and it expands indefinitely. Like I'm looking at my last episode here, I have absolutely no problems, huge farms, like 300, 400 people. It's like what do I need to do after that? I have all the wood I need, I have all the rock I need, I have all the metal I need.
Yeah, and
Keep
I
going
got,
until
like,
you can't do it anymore.
got most of the achievements. Like, I don't have the one that's like get to year 200 with this many people, which would just happen eventually anyway. I just didn't want to play it for that long at the time.
Okay, could I very quickly bring up a new topic that I just came up with because I'm scrolling through my feed on YouTube?
Okay.
Go for it.
We need another Pokemon Snap.
Hell yeah,
oh
we
yeah,
I
was
know-
actually Go ahead.
I've never played Pokemon Snap.
Get out, Misty. Leave.
Leave now. No, don't leave.
do. Who raised you?
Is essentially like it's almost objectively speaking a bad game, but it's so good. I
Right?
don't know why.
Ooh, did
So
you
bad
guys
it's
remember? Did you remember when there was a time you could go to Blockbuster with your copy of Pokemon Snap, and they
I
had
remember
photo
and they
printing
had-
booths.
Yes,
I
yes.
do remember that. We didn't have a Blockbuster around here, but they had one of the photo printing booths at it was called Movie Gallery. It's pretty much the same thing as a Blockbuster.
You have a goddamn movie gallery? Do you live
Not now.
Do you live in Canmore, Alberta? Because I had a movie gallery in Canmore, Alberta. It's a fucking well, it's not a small town. It has 10,000 people, but
Small town, yes it.
Um,
No, I live in a small neighborhood in Kansas.
well, okay.
Aw.
The thing is with Canmore, is it's one of the weirdest towns on earth. I actually want to tell you guys about this. I lived there from like 8 years old until 19, and essentially, it's a town that wants to be a small town. It's right next to Banff National Park. It has like glorious skiing within half an hour. If you guys have never been to Sunshine Mountain, if you're skiers or snowboarders, you have to go. It's like a double gondola lift up at 2,000 meter or 3,000 feet, and it's glorious. But
So what you're telling us though is it's Portland, Oregon.
possibly.
Hey, that's where I live.
But the thing is, it has beautification laws. So the municipal government actually has laws in effect where things have to be a certain level of beautiful if you want to live in that town. And if your house or store or storefront is not beautiful enough or not small town-esque or does not fit the theme, you will be fined huge amounts per year.
This house isn't rustic enough. $10,000 fine.
So the thing is, it looks like a small town, but it looks how you would draw a small town. And the houses there are worth like anything from 900,000 to 4 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just pocket change for us.
Down in the United States. No, your houses are cheap down there. I've looked at moving to the United States before, but
You want to be roomies, Jessic?
well, the thing is, I actually do currently own what I'm in, but your houses are actually very, very inexpensive, and it's partially because they don't have to be weatherproofed as much. So the houses in
You don't live in
Canada,
the frozen tundra.
I have the weirdest weather where I'm at. Like one day it was like 10 degrees, and then the next day it was 72. It was ridiculous.
Do you live in Omaha, Nebraska?
No, I live in Kernersville, North Carolina.
yeah, but the thing is, we have kind of, it's not all the time, but we do have extreme weather in Canada. So, I live in Calgary, which has very mild weather generally, but we'll have 2 or 3 winter days where it's like ridiculous gale force winds and minus 45 or 35 weather, 35 Celsius. And the houses really need to be built for that, whereas in most of the United States, they don't.
Yeah, some places have that, but not a lot.
So, the housing market in Canada, like, is ridiculous.
So the games that Misty's been playing.
Yeah, Misty, sorry, what? Houses. Shut up.
Let's see. I've been meaning to get around to Majora's Mask on the 3DS. I just haven't.
Have you played the original?
Oh yeah, I love the original. It's like my favorite Zelda.
Okay, I was just wondering, because,
I just want to know how the remake like feels compared to the original.
I hate to be constantly directing people towards videos, but the Completionist actually did a retrospective that just compared the 3DS to the original and said what was added to it, and that is a really good video for knowing exactly what you're buying if you want to buy the 3DS version.
Well, I got the 3DS version kind of for my birthday for free because my nephews
finger
sort of
discount, right?
bought it for me, although it was really like their mom that bought it for me.
Oh, by the way, guys, oh, never mind. I'll say this after because I'm talking about taxes later.
Okay. And Monster Hunter 4, I've been playing the crap out of that. It's like one of the only things I'm playing.
I know how that feels, man. I keep trying to start up new series, but I'm playing like I have 70 hours on Monster Hunter so far.
Jesus.
I think I'm like close to 100 or so.
And
So I've just been farming armors and stuff because you
You guys are
gotta.
making me feel really bad because I had that much time like within the first week.
Really?
okay,
Yeah,
Did you just take a break from life?
to be very fair to you,
yeah, I did.
I was held back by the fact that I didn't want to make any progress off camera.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
So I would be 200 hours deep right now. But I didn't want to record 200 hours.
Start up my 3DS and check what my actual hours are. I kind of want to do that.
Yep. Actually, I'm gonna do that right now. Actually, no, I'm not because Monster Hunter is in my car.
Everyone here has Monster Hunter?
Not me, because I don't have a handheld.
We
Oh,
should
you don't
like
have a 3DS?
we should all chip in someday and get Phil a 3DS and Monster Hunter, and we can all
Aye.
play.
Totally
But-
behind
but-
this. Totally
But
behind
we have
this.
to make sure that it's a 3BS, like you said, not a 3DS, but a 3BS.
3BS.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the
Because it's three
it's
of
the
us
Mexican
BSing.
bootleg.
Yes.
By the way, guys,
It's actually a tortilla.
I know some people think I know some people think I am slightly weirdly insane at times. I just want
Slightly.
I just want to confirm their statement by telling you that sound you just heard where I hit the mic, I accidentally I on purpose, without thinking,
It was
pried
a
off
stick.
my escape key and it went flying. I have no escape key.
What were you doing that you accidentally pried off the escape key?
I know, right?
Are you training your fingers for precise trigger point attacks?
I don't
Masturbation.
know. Masturbation.
How does that?
How would I accidentally pry off my escape key with masturbation?
That was my question.
A super aggressive masturbation.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. I finally found my escape key.
He was masturbating with his keyboard.
You'd
Don't
know
ask.
that because it'd make it sound kind of like.
Yeah.
Here, I can actually emulate the sound right now by not masturbating on my keyboard.
Okay. Yesek, stop it. This is a podcast, not Yesek playtime.
We're rated G on this podcast.
I actually don't know for sure, but if you go on iTunes, there are like X-rated podcasts, and I don't know like what is actually in them, but I'm pretty curious.
By the way, when I say we're rated G, I mean we're rated G for German porn.
Yeah, we're
Scott.
actually in those X-rated podcasts that I was talking about.
Okay, well, next.
dramatic readings of Sasquatch
I've
porn.
got like 303 hours, or not 303, 103 hours in it. So
Okay, so is that pretty much everything everyone's been playing, or have we not moved on?
It would fucking ask me.
We
God
haven't
damn.
even-
Okay,
I think I'm the only one.
Okay.
Phil, your turn.
I have been playing a lot of Hotline Miami 2.
Yes.
Because it's amazing. It's got its own problems, but it's awesome. And that level designer, when it comes out, is going to be sweet.
All I'm saying is I hated the dodge roll.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck the dodge roll. That messed me up so many times when trying to just run a level.
Right?
And yet, at the same time, everything else is kind of buggy. Like, not picking up items is always
Oh yeah, that was bothersome at times.
kind of a pain. That's more of like a challenge run type deal. I liked the gimmick with the chainsaw and Chainsaw Gun Brothers.
Yeah, I loved
but
that.
at the
Ash
same
and
time,
something.
yeah, they're not programmed entirely well. So what happens is the gunner gets stuck or lags behind, and you have to kind of plan. So what I ended up doing throughout my entire playthrough is I used the gunner as bait because the AI is reactionary to sounds, so gunshots. So I use that and lure him out into a corner and go chainsaw crazy.
That's basically what I did.
It's basically what you have to do. It's a little bit broken.
So maybe a bit exploitable in terms of AI, but good otherwise.
Oh, I mean, like,
Otherwise, yeah.
you can't complain too much about that, though, because there was a lot of stuff that you could exploit, even in the first Hotline Miami.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, the whole point of getting through it was, finding certain exploits because
Yeah.
the game is inherently hard.
It was
And it's designed-
so
it's
much more
designed that way.
difficult than the first one, too.
Even like the first third level was difficult.
Yeah.
So they definitely designed it within mind of people who've already played it, and it's kind
Yeah,
of like
I
because
took
there is no
pride-
tutorial section.
Actually, NL was talking about that during his review, where he actually said, and I agree with him. He liked that it was designed for people who have played the first game. So instead of the difficulty curve picking up back at the beginning of Hotline Miami 1, it kind of picked up after that.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah, like I took pride in being good at the first one, and I was like, I'm just gonna breeze through the second game. And then I was like, no!
Some
You're
levels
saying
it
if
took me
I
an
haven't
hour to
played
get
either,
through.
I shouldn't play the second one until I've played the first one.
Play the
Apparent-
first. You'll enjoy it, and it will also make your playthrough of the second one more enjoyable.
Just make sure that before you move on to the second one, you do get all of the collectibles in the first. And I know that sounds like a daunting task, like right now, but it's actually not.
It's really not. No, as long as you get a guide ready, it's not. And you need
Yeah.
to because there's bonus levels after you complete it that will unlock segments of the story that is interesting.
Yep.
Like
Okay.
perhaps a secret cult and that they may or may not be Satanists. Well, not Satanists, but may or may not do demon worship.
That was a fun level.
Yeah.
Okay, next. I'm pretty sure we've had Midnight and Misty.
I haven't gone
Oh,
yet.
sorry, not Midnight. Phil and Misty.
But, Phil and I are the same person, so...
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so am I
essentially.
going next then?
Yes.
All right. Hotline Miami 2, obviously. I bought it at 11 o'clock at night the day it came out and stayed up for like 7 hours straight playing it. And then the next night I did the exact same thing and I beat it that night. So I beat it in roughly 25 hours. I love the game. I just love Hotline Miami in general. But like Phil said,
25
there-
hours to beat it, you casual?
um, anyway, so like you said, Phil, there definitely were some issues with it and stuff. Definitely not game breaking. Actually, that's not entirely true because I think it was chapter 19 on the Vita. Once you get on the bus to go into the actual chapter, it would always crash the game for me. And I tried uninstalling, tried all that garbage. So I just ended up skipping the thing before the start of the level. I've been playing Danganronpa 2. I already talked about Danganronpa a bit. Monster Hunter. Still playing Pokemon Y because somehow I still haven't beaten that. I was
think
waiting
did
for somebody
everything
to
I could in
criticize me
Pokemon
for that.
X.
I haven't beaten any Pokemons in quite a while.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, surely you've beaten Pokemon X or Y.
No, neither. Haven't
Oh.
beaten X and Y, haven't beaten Black and White. The thing is, I tend to stream them, then I tend to be like, I'm not going to beat these unless it's on stream. Then I tend to never play them again.
Fair enough. I beat Black.
I like Black and White and Black and White 2's storyline, but you have to play them both to really get the most out of them. Like one and the other, preferably the same color.
Yeah, I have Black too, but I've never even played it. Because I
It's
got
good.
Y before I got Black
It's really
too.
good.
I've actually been meaning to start like a modern Pokemon race with Despic, but I was supposed to get another 3DS capture card around Christmas, but that just didn't end up happening, so I haven't played much.
And I bet Despic is the one that screwed it up.
No. The oil and gas industry is what screwed it up.
Which was also screwed up by Despic.
Yeah, he directly went and created ways of extracting more fuel from ground that we already knew had fuel, but didn't extract at an efficient rate. He was
Right.
responsible for that shit.
And I'm pretty sure he even knows how to create the stuff.
Yeah, he could
He can just autonomously make oil.
he
true.
actually spews it. Like he doesn't shit or piss. He just eats and then excretes oil. Crude oil.
Terrible.
I know. It's horrible, but he's worth a lot of money. They basically he's always in labs having his enzymes researched. It's one of those types of things. Anyways, next
Despic, if you're listening, you're disgusting.
he is kind of disgusting.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Anyways, next I guess is what I've been playing. Pretty much Monster Hunter.
The end.
Yeah, that's it. That's entirely it. I played like a couple hours of Cities Skyline because I wanted to start a series, but Monster Hunter. So much Monster
I actually
Hunter.
had one more that I wanted to mention.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I kind of interrupted you there.
Oh no, you're fine. Shadow of Mordor. I streamed a bit of it and I posted about it on Twitter. I broke it many times. That's it.
It is actually quite good.
I mean, I definitely enjoy it, but like I haven't even really done the story stuff just because like
Wait, hold
since
on.
it's-
There's a story?
Whoa, what?
I thought it was just the Nemesis system.
right? Like I'm just doing a bunch of random stuff.
But that's the
like
fun
all
part of
the
it.
Slave quests, and I'm not saying it's not fun. It's just like I don't know. I'm
It's
just
just
Why
never
never
ending.
play a boring story mission when the subsystem is so much more entertaining?
I agree
Yeah.
with kind of the rest of the YouTube community in that Shadow of Mordor is the absolute best Assassin's Creed I've ever played.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
/ Arkham Asylum.
yeah.
Actually, I was upset by one thing, and I haven't played enough of the game to know if it's only that way in the beginning or not. But those giant troll things that aren't trolls, Do you know what I'm talking about? Can you ever jump on those things throughout the rest of the game?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, well, there's these things that are basically trolls, and you should be able to jump on them and just like stab them in the eye, but you can't.
Is that like a glitch? Is they something like that?
No, I don't mean like it's programmed that you can, but you can't. I mean like you just literally cannot, but like from like a perspective of things that would make sense, like you should be able to,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
but you can't. Just seems like a cool mechanic that the developers overlooked.
Okay, well, can we move on to Zelda?
No.
Zelda in the open world.
Sure.
Okay, who actually recommended this subject? Because you must have
I
something
did.
to say about it.
I'm cautiously optimistic about this, but at the same time, I'm wondering how they're going to pull it off, because Zelda is something that's got a kind of specific formula, and open world almost doesn't fit it.
But the thing
Well,
is,
they definitely stepped away from that recently, though.
you're actually forgetting that Zelda used to be entirely open world.
That's true, too.
The
Granted
formula,
archaic.
the regular Zelda that we now know and love, or at least somewhat, some of the new ones
I did
kind of
play
find.
Zelda 1.
Some of the new ones I actually find to be complete shit.
Like Zelda 2.
Yeah. Well, no, Zelda
We
2 was a
forget that
fine game in its own right, but it was not a Zelda game. It was just a weird
Like
offshoot.
Bioshock 2.
But anyways, but what I think about it, like at first I was like, what, open world? But then I thought about it and I was like, all my favorite Zelda games are actually the ones where it's an open map. Like, there's always something to do in Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, which are my two favorites. But Zelda 1, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask are all the most open world of them, and they're all the best ones too. Because there's
But it's
always
also like,
things to explore and to
same-
do.
at the same time, while it is open world, there's still a direct formula that you have to go through to beat the game.
Not in the first one.
In the first Zelda, you could pretty much do any dungeon in any order. There were a couple dungeons where you needed an item from one dungeon to beat them, but generally you didn't.
So
I thought
think-
we were talking Ocarina and Majora.
I know, but what I was saying is that I think that the open world actually suits Zelda, and that my favorite games are the most open world of them. Wind Waker,
Yeah, that
It-
was
it-
really open world.
it had an order, but it felt open world. So the more open world feeling they are, the more I like the Zeldas.
And
So basically, you
did
just
you
have to deceive your players.
You probably haven't, but have you played the most recent one, Link Between Worlds?
No, I haven't actually.
You'd probably really like that. It's very open world. You can do the dungeons in pretty much any order. You have to do the first three and then you can do the others in like any order you want. I
So-
think like one dungeon's gated by having to do another one.
So
I've heard from so many people that that's actually like the best Zelda game of all time.
I could probably believe it. There's some good things coming out on 3DS. But
A lot of good stuff.
what I'm pretty much getting at is that I think that people are all freaking out about open world Zelda, but I think they're not making a step forward. I think they're making a step back to the originals.
That would be nice.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah,
They have kind of been doing that with
with all their
Link
things.
Between Worlds.
With actually all of Nintendo's games, they've been going back to the original.
Because that's when it was good.
Yeah, like Mario, they've stopped kind of fucking around with ridiculous amounts of 3D. Even their 2D games that have come out recently have been their 3D games have been 2D in a way.
Right?
So they're going back to the original designs, making sure that each level is well crafted, not quite crafting as many levels. Like, what was it? It was the second Mario for the Wii where everything just felt assembled out of bricks.
New Super Mario Brothers Wii.
New Super Mario Brothers 2, I think.
I couldn't even tell you because all Mario games are the same to me.
But the newest one with the cat suit, that actually felt creative to me. The worlds felt creative. The co-op felt creative and fluid. Everything felt good again. And I think it's not because Nintendo's moving forward. Nintendo's actually moving back.
Now all they have to do is just stop being afraid of the internet.
Which brings us on to our next subject. Nintendo's partnership program. Why do I even... Go on, guys.
Even saying it just makes you laugh.
It just hurts.
It is a joke.
Like, okay, if they, you know what I would have been completely all right with, and they almost did?
What's that?
If they had just been like, okay, we're starting a network.
That's all they had to do.
Yeah. You know, if they were like, we're starting a network, if you want to do Nintendo games, join our network. I would have been like, you know, kind of weird and internet phobic. I'm sure there's an actual word for that. But at least I can join your network and be like, okay, here, I'm in a network, you're monetizing all my videos. But if you want to join their network, you have to do only Nintendo content and only certain games of Nintendo.
Wait, how did we not see this coming a long time ago when they did that whole entire thing with all their videos and stuff?
Well, no, this was supposed to be a step forward. We're just the 20th podcast to mention that it's actually a huge step back.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
I'm
be
so
original,
confused.
guys. Ugh.
And the
I
weird
don't
thing
know,
is, I've actually been hearing from Nintendo PR being like, I don't know why they're like this. I'm not sure why their legal department is doing this. The actual Nintendo PR knows that the internet is a good thing. It's their legal department that's completely in the goddamn dark.
What's this newfangled internet? I thought it
And
was just
maybe
cat
like
videos.
Nintendo Japan not realizing how the Americas work.
No, Nintendo Japan's actually slightly better. You might not know this, but copyright laws in Japan are much more lenient than copyright laws in America.
Well, that's actually why you see a lot of blatantly copyright infringing by our standards videos that come out of Japan.
Well, the thing is, copyright has gotten... I don't care what any of you fuckers saying that they have the right to take their own content. No, they don't. Copyright has gotten out of hand. Do you know what copyright is? What it's supposed to do? It's supposed to protect your property. Not property that you have sold. Like, once you've bought something from somebody, you can use it. But your actual property, so that people aren't copying your games and distributing them.
Which, that's kind of not what's happening.
No, not at all. So copyright in America has gotten out of hand because once you buy something, you have the right to use it. Music included. You can play music for other people. You can hang out and have a party with music involved. In Japan, those copyright laws are closer to the originals, which happened in America a long time ago, which is just like, don't copy my shit. So, yeah,
That makes a lot more sense.
copyright is way out of hand in North America, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know
Dum-dums.
either.
Are we talking about the candy dum-dums or something
Whatever
else?
you want.
It's literally caused by the candy dum-dums. I don't know if
They
you know
are
the-
actually the soy, sirs, the soy,
Soys.
the soy,
They are so
the
soft.
soy.
They're the soy sauce.
And you know, even like the 20s, 30s, America had a fairly good concept of copyright, and so much so that it was actually a weaker concept of copyright than some European and Asian nations. Like the whole fake book fiasco of the whole jazz age, which nobody knows about because nobody's a jazz musician. Does anyone know what fake books are?
I don't
do
know
not.
music.
I know what jazz is.
Oh, okay. Essentially, in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, there was tons of jazz going around.
Reefer man,
There,
reefer man.
and there, I'm
Reefer madness.
yes, and essentially, people would write songs, and those songs would be copyrighted by them. But there were people in like back alleys writing out fake books, which were basically they'd listen to albums over and over again and transpose the basic melody. And then they'd compile them in these huge binders and sell them. And nobody was suing those assholes. It's just gotten way too out of hand, and I don't know why.
Yep.
People are greedy and want money.
That's about right.
But is it even, like, is that really what caused it?
Yes.
Maybe?
Because
Soy sauce is what caused it.
Soy sauce.
Soy.
And that's also the reason we didn't have Earthbound for so long in America. Mother 1 and Mother 2, Mother 3. Because,
Copyright music.
I've got my mother.
in
I've got
In-
my mommy.
in the Japanese and the English version when it finally came out in America, Mother 1, Mother 2, Mother 3 had lots of sampling. Like, in Darkside, there was some sampling of, in like the weird anti-town, there was some sampling of the American national anthem. They also sampled, I don't know what the song's called, but and by sample I mean they just used that intro for a song.
I know that song, but I don't know what it is.
Johnny Be Good?
It might be.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But there were about 100 different samplings and references, but in America those weren't references, they were just straight up copyright infringement, so we never got the games.
I think I
God
like the way
damn
Japan
it.
does it better.
However, when the Super Nintendo was out, our copyright laws weren't that strict, so we did get Mother 2. By the name of Earthbound.
Why didn't we ever get Mother 1?
That was, again, I don't know. I think that was just they didn't think there'd be a market for it. Yeah. And Mother 3 we didn't get for the same reason. Or not for the same reason, for the Mother 2 reason. And that's the reason that only
Are
recently...
you telling me that I was adopted?
Yes, you were adopted, you guys. Sorry, saying the names of these games are ridiculous, and I'm never sure whether to, when talking about all of them, refer to them as Mother or Earthbound, because then it's like Earthbound -1, Earthbound, and Earthbound 2.
I've heard it as Earthbound 0, Earthbound, and Earthbound 2.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, that's what I think about Nintendo's partnership and their ridiculous reaction to
Bag of dicks.
new media. So, this next topic, I don't actually know what we're gonna say about it.
I mean, we were going somewhere with it before the podcast started.
So all I have is gaming trends.
Oh, wrong one.
Yeah, I
I
know.
thought it was the one about buttocks.
No, that's
We-
later on. No spoilers. No podcast spoilers.
Okay.
Ah!
I'm just wondering what the next one will be, because roguelikes still seem to be pretty much in the majority
The mic.
majority right now.
Majora's
But
Mask.
And by the way, I want to do a quick thing for the audience on how we in the podcast have agreed to define roguelikes. Is it in a way like Rogue? Yes? Then it's a fucking roguelike. Don't argue with us.
and
fuck
it's also a game. Stop arguing, you stupids.
It's literally in the name. It's a rogue-like game. It's a game like Rogue. Doesn't have to be fucking ASCII. Just shut up.
So basically what I feel like is happening is roguelikes have already become like one of those huge things along with like your shooters and your platformers. I feel like the next really big thing coming up is like, I guess it's already been coming for a little while maybe, but like you were saying earlier, Yesik, is like these crappy horror games.
Ugh.
Is that really up and coming though, or is it fading out?
you kind of hope it'd be fading out.
I don't know. Look at Five Nights at Freddy's.
But-
It just keeps going.
I have another theory that the gaming trends are not necessarily like one doesn't necessarily butt out the next one. I think what's happened is that roguelikes, or our current definition of roguelikes, have become popular because the main gaming community has actually become sick of games that are super easy to beat and that you can save every 2 seconds and that just aren't very challenging. We want games that have replay value, that are different most times, and that have an aspect of difficulty. So I'm not
Do
sure.
you think that we as players will ever get tired of that though?
So I think we might not. I think this is just an evolution of gaming, wherein pretty much roguelikes are creeping into every other aspect of gaming, and I'm not sure how soon they'll be leaving. So I think the next trend might just be a new thing added on to our current roguelikes.
Do you think that AAA games should stop making such big, grand, quote-unquote, beautiful cities and stuff and start making smaller, randomized things?
Well, that's actually a loaded question. Because when you say it that way, should AAA games be spending what was the budget of Grand Theft Auto 5 again?
Too much?
50 million? 60
I was about
million?
to say 50 million.
I think it was 50 million. Should they be spending 50 million underpaying their software developers and then firing them all? Probably not. Would it be more effective to hire less software developers, spend 2 million, pay them well, have them happy, have them interacting with each other, and have them come up with something good that maybe has slightly lesser graphics? Probably.
That does sound like a better idea. I mean, graphical fidelity is kind of something I'm not like super, important to me. I mean, nice graphics are fine, but it's not like I need them to have a good experience playing a game.
Yes.
As long as the gameplay is good and it looks
Shut up,
decent
Phil.
enough.
And you know, high fidelity graphics I think can be done well, and I'm actually holding out.
I'm not saying they can't.
Yeah, no.
And I'm not saying they shouldn't.
I'm actually agreeing with you here. I'll finish. And I'm really putting a lot of hope on Star Citizen. But Star Citizen, despite what people are saying, is an indie game. And
How is Star Citizen doing, by the way?
it's actually fantastic. The graphics are fantastic. It's very hard to run on any modern computers, but that'll change over time. But essentially, what you get in an indie game is a love and obsession of the content. So yes, it's a $30 or $42 million indie game at this point, but it's still an indie game where everybody involved in the project is obsessed with the project. They're only hiring people who want to be working there. They're hiring people who want to be modeling these spacecrafts, who want them to be accurate. They're hiring scientists who want to be involved in this huge grand space adventure. And the whole Grand Theft Auto 5, even though it turned out to be a good game, they're like, here's the formula you have to follow. No room for improvisation. Program this. So
Yeah, I kind of feel like the way Star Citizen's doing it just would work better. It would make the game better, in my opinion.
even if Star Citizen entirely fails, I've had so much fun with the community and listening to like all the flight enthusiasts and actual astronauts talking about how things should work and could work and will work and the interactions that I've got what I've paid for. Like I've got the fantasy just in terms of their forms. and I don't mind that. So yeah, I think there is a major problem with the fidelity obsessed modern shooter, and that was very clearly shown with the Order 1822.
I almost feel bad that game didn't do super well.
Well, the thing is, it was beautiful, but it had no passion.
Right.
Also, here it was really short.
Yeah, it was.
It was basically just a movie.
It was leave the high fidelity stuff unless that's the point of your game and the passion of your developers. Leave the high fidelity to what are they called now? Like stress tests. They'll do it. I don't want a 2-hour stress test video game.
Oh, God.
And a lot of the time, I'll turn down some of the graphics just to make it run better.
Yeah.
All I care about is my 60 frames and stability.
60 frames really does help. Well, that's it for the trends section, I guess. So now for something slightly less serious, butts. We're going to talk about asses in and out of gaming. What do you guys think of asses?
All right.
I like
so
it.
I
think
love them.
I think we were onto something earlier when we were talking about the opening to Hotline Miami, how you were raping somebody.
Oh,
More
yeah,
because I was
okay.
leading into a question about.
Let's drop the lighthearted things.
Good old.
Yeah, let's just get straight
okay.
into the rape.
Rape talk
Yeah.
now. Let's go.
All right, so
Butt play.
you're busting in through this place, killing a bunch of people, and you're like, I'm gonna find this chick, and then you find her after you kill everybody, and you drop your pants and put her on the floor. But it turns out that it's really just a movie. And so that sort of made me think, like, is the whole entire video game really maybe just a movie?
Okay.
I don't know. Have you
Well,
finished it yet?
The thing.
Yes,
The thing we
it
were.
doesn't really tell you.
The topic here, as far as I see it, is they actually said you want to turn off sexually explicit content in this game. At the beginning, right? Or at some point.
Yeah.
So, the real question is, should a game skirt around the issues it's trying to address?
No.
Like, you're buying an M-rated game. Games have ratings for a reason.
This is true.
Which I actually found out today that the ESRB can change their ratings after a game's already released.
That's really weird, but they still have ratings, and they have those ratings for a reason. Like, M games should be played by 18 and up. It's your own choice as a parent if you buy them for your kids. But don't be like, there was sexual content in the games. Yes, of course there is. It's rated 18A. Or
Actually, an interesting fact is the only reason why Elder Scrolls games get M ratings is because of user-created content that has sexual content in it.
That's weird. That is
I
very
almost
strange.
don't think that should count.
Well, in all honesty,
Unless it was like intended that you should be able to do that.
the ESRB is as fucked up as your movie rating system in America, which is very fucked up. There's some documentaries on it you should probably look up at some point.
I almost
Yeah.
never pay attention to ratings. It's
I
like,
don't.
does this look entertaining? And generally, if the answer is yes, I'll go see it.
But
And
there
it's like,
are really good movies that literally never get released in America because
is ratings too high?
the rating's too high. They can only get an NC-17 rating, which means they cannot get a theater release.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
that-
they could get a theater release. It's just no theater wants to have that.
well, yes, they could get a theater release, but it's not worth it for them.
Right.
And interestingly enough, the main things that contribute to that are very minor homosexual content or ever having a woman showing that she's having pleasure during sex.
What?
Yeah, no. If you have a woman showing that she's enjoying sex at any point, your movie will get NC-17 and it cannot go up.
I don't know
That
if
makes
that's true.
no
Look
sense.
at
No,
Fight
that is
Club.
entirely true.
Look at Fight Club, though.
Yeah, but that was in the 90s, in the early 90s or late 90s, wasn't it?
It was 99.
That seems kind of bass backwards.
And specifically, it's a woman achieving orgasm.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah, clearly fake.
That's what the ASRB would tell you.
Yeah. But seriously, there's a good documentary on the ESRB. I forget what it's called, but I'm sure you can look it up. It's some screwed up stuff.
The American
Well-
rating systems seem really,
And-
really weird.
Unfortunately, the video game rating system, which is only centered in America, as far as I know, is almost as screwed up of a system. It's mostly the ratings are mostly chosen by a bunch of like 60-year-old people living alone.
Shouldn't there be like a committee of diverse people?
Of all ages and
Nope, too
races.
complicated.
No.
Yeah.
No, most people who decide on anything really are a group of older white people. I don't know why it happens, but it happens.
White people. Phil, white people aren't welcome here. Leave.
All right.
White? I think.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Your Skype picture tells me you're black.
Okay. Yes, I'm black with fire hair.
You're a black pony with fire hair.
Makes sense.
True.
In
Anyways,
fact, I'm pretty sure Phil is the only human here.
but either way, like I
That
said,
you know of.
like I said near the beginning of this podcast, I'm not anti-drug, but I'm pro-law. So I still agree with the ratings. Having a rating system is great for video games, but nobody listens to it,
That's true.
and that makes
Especially adults, which, they're buying these horror, sometimes insanely mature subject matter games, and they're just like, whatever.
like you can't go to a rated R movie and then be offended by mature content. And the other thing is the Hotline Miami thing. I've seen this happen before in movies. You said there was a scene where rape was going on near the end, or was going to go on, then it was a movie, but that doesn't matter. Just the rape scene is what I want to focus on. Will not talking about the fact that rape is a thing cause it to happen less?
Absolutely not.
Like, they're not portraying it as a normal
No,
thing.
I think it's probably better to address the situation.
They're just talking about it, but people get offended that it's even involved. They want to treat it like it's a non-issue.
It happens, and it's a problem.
So why is it entirely out of our media? Why is it entirely out of games? Why can't an M-rated game have a scene addressing rape without being like, do you want to remove all the sexual content? Will that offend you?
Well, I mean, I can give a very logical answer to this, but it's still sort of nonsensical. They just don't want to offend people that have been raped, but at the same time, like, if those... Okay, I'm not even going to finish saying what I said, because it's going to offend a lot of people.
Still the exact same thing. If you have been raped, and I apologize, I have actually known several people who have been raped and dealt with situations involving rape before. Not talking about it doesn't help. not talking about it really doesn't help, and often not talking about it is the main problem, as in people will pretend that it never happened. They will never press charges. The victims will never get closure. It's a horrible system that we have now, and it's basically being driven by the fact that we never talk about it.
Yep.
And I don't care who I offend here. If you're offended, please call me out in the comments, and I will verbally rape you. I am
Well,
giving
Your mind grapes.
you don't see
Shots fired.
you don't see my middle fingers right now, but I'm giving them.
You
That's all
gotta
good.
address the issue to resolve the issue.
Let me put it this way. I was in a situation where somebody I knew who was close to me when she was very young was raped. And because of how things were addressed at the time, charges were never pressed. And we never got closure. And we never even talked to the person again. And do you think that was the right way of doing things, pretending it didn't happen?
Hell no.
Because that screwed her up for the rest of her life to the point where she is quite mentally unstable at this point. Mm-hmm. So I don't care how much you disagree with me. I really think not addressing it and not pretending it's a thing is not the right solution.
Right.
And I'm really sorry about the serious talk here, but
No, I mean, it's all good.
we're just talking about media and how it deals with.
Are we talking about butts?
Yeah, butts. I like them. Personally, I'm a fan of a rather slender figure, so I'm not a big butt or boob person. I prefer lean mass, like athletic.
I prefer athletic, but I don't prefer skinny lean because I'm afraid I'm going to break them. It's like
It's gotta be like,
Except
it's like a teacup chihuahua. Or something.
you're just talking skinny right now. I've met people like that who I just feel like I'm going to break them, but I'm talking about actually athletic.
Okay.
Like have some
So
muscle
as I
mass,
was
have some
saying,
tone. Yeah, okay, butts. Yeah.
it's gotta be
Phil,
like fair to
do
middling.
you think?
Yeah.
Do you think that all of Hotline Miami 2 was really just a movie being directed, or actually, you could even say Hotline Miami 1 and Hotline Miami 2 was really just a movie being
Ooh,
directed?
Hotline Miami 1 was the movie, and Hotline Miami 2 is the stuff going on behind the movie.
But 2 is what gives you a hint that it is a movie, except for the fact that there's no real closure in the end,
No,
unless I
not at all.
missed something.
Well, what I'm figuring is they're leaving
Okay.
it open for additional patches and potential DLC.
Well, I mean, the developers have said there's going to be absolutely nothing after Hotline Miami 2, so I don't know if there is going to be anything else.
I think
Also,
that's a flat
there's-
out lie.
I'm just throwing a warning out right now that we're probably going to throw out some huge Hotline Miami 2 spoilers. I know that they said, okay, starting right now. I know that they said at the very end, or they didn't say this, but there was the whole thing where, no, the whole thing was a movie. Because if you think about it, the chapter select were all different cassette tapes,
Mhm.
and you picked different. And then it was also throughout the whole entire thing, you had like the recording stuff going on where like it would the white noise and everything. The whole entire thing is a movie.
But just because it's a movie, does that mean it's actually fake?
Ooh.
There are some movies that
Because
what are they
uh,
called?
harmful pornography actually exists.
Like snuff films,
Yep.
like actual snuff films.
Ooh,
Apparently-
Manhunt. We need another Manhunt.
Oh Jesus! Apparently the first, and I'm taking somebody else's word for this, so do not quote me and look
Quoting
it up
you.
before you quote.
Yes, Zeke, quote.
Before you quote it, apparently there was one there was one film that actually made oral sex popular, like blowjobs, and apparently that was made. I think it was in the early '70s, and apparently it was filmed at gunpoint.
Jesus.
Eee.
I have just quoted you.
So, oh shit. So, there is harmful pornography, and just because something is a video does not mean it's necessarily fake.
I mean, I guess that's true, but I think that Hotline Miami 2 was fake. In the sense that it was a movie in a video game.
But, if I here, I'm gonna actually look something up right now. If you look up Hotline Miami 2, were the videos actually, like, cassette tapes with that you'd normally find a movie on? Did they have a Disney logo on them, or were they homemade?
They actually had logos, they didn't have, like, producing logos, but they had, like, the kind of like promotional art that you would have for like your standard movie, I guess.
They all look pretty dark and pretty amateurish to me. I'm actually looking at some right now. But maybe.
Also now that I'm thinking about it, there's literally no possible way that with the ending that it had that it couldn't have been a movie. Okay, like I said, there's huge Hotline Miami 2 spoilers. Do you
There's
guys
a lot
care
of
if I say them?
inconsistencies.
I don't care.
No.
Basically, in the end, the Russians just send atomic bombs and blow everything up.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a Russian assassination on the Russia's president, and then our president gets assassinated basically at the same time. Probably because of the cult that is constantly hinted towards in the first one and the second one. Well, not even constantly. In the second one, they only touch up on it twice, I want to say. In the first
Maybe it's
one, it's
the
actually
cult that filmed the whole entire thing. And then, I don't know.
There's so many theories you could run through it.
Yeah, there's too many theories. I think it's
real,
just a
but it's
movie. I'm
alternate
just gonna.
timeline.
I think it's just a movie. I'm gonna chalk it up to that. That's just the way to keep it simple.
Yeah. Anyways, that was pretty much our last topic. Are we done, or does anyone else have something else?
I kind of had something in the vein of horror games, but it was really just I want another what's that? Eternal Darkness game, but
Oh God!
Everybody wants
Yes.
another Eternal Darkness.
Is that the
but
one
the
that was based
Kickstarter
on?
of the spiritual successor failed, and it's like that's sad.
To answer your question, yes, it's based off of H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay.
Hewitt Packard Lovecraft. My favorite printer horror writer.
Also, a terrible human being.
Well, really, was he?
He was really just a terrible human being.
Was he? I actually want to hear this. In what way? I don't know. I didn't know that.
He was he was, oh God, how is it classist? He was, oh God, just anybody who wasn't rich and educated, he just thought were scum. He was racist, and even in his writing, he's just flat out used racism. I guess it's, for the period it was written, it's, I guess, appropriate,
Well,
quote unquote.
Okay, the thing is, I don't think you can actually forgive people based on the period. Then again, you can't forgive them, but you also can't completely dismiss what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, racism is racism. I tend to often find myself defending the French, but they've also done terrible things.
Horrible.
But one thing that the French did do well is they were really big into intermarriage with colonized races. But so I forgive the people who did that and who were not racist within the French. But that doesn't make it, just because it was right during the time doesn't mean the rest of the French should be forgiven for their crimes.
I kind of agree.
There's an expression that I like. We're all the descendants of monsters. No matter who you are, your forefathers, your ancestors have done horrible things that you would not like to think about.
Speaking of H.P. Lovecraft,
My father is a good man.
Your father is, but everybody.
Hey, what do you know about my father?
Everybody, I don't know.
that was
Everybody,
a deep one. Ooh.
everybody in the history of the world is a direct male line descendant of Genghis Khan.
He banged a lot of women.
So, fuck it. Your ancestors are all monsters. There's one at least.
Wouldn't all of our ancestors be a monster?
Yeah, that's true, but there's more than one. Yeah, so there's brutality in everybody's past, and you can't forgive it. You can't be there because there were non-racist people in every age, but you also can't be like, oh, it's all right because that's what was all right in the time. Fuck that noise.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. Anyways, I keep going on to serious at the end of this thing.
If we had
Such a
to summarize,
buzzkill.
if we had to summarize this whole entire podcast into like 2 sentences, what would it be? Yesik, you first.
Address issues, advertise.
Misty.
Yesik talks a lot. Let's have more games come out to the West.
More butts.
I didn't even ask for your opinion yet, Phil.
That's a
I
good
don't care.
opinion, though. That is a good opinion.
Phil, what is your opinion?
More butts.
What's your second sentence?
Double the butts.
The correct
Roguelike
answer
like.
would have been double the butts.
Double them butts.
And if I had to summarize it, it would be this is Midnight Podcast. Thank you for listening, and bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.